with another one. So today I want to talk about growing in recovery. So many topics in recovery we're going to talk about. I'm going to cover. This is just one of them that was on my mind. Usually, whatever comes to my mind, I usually write up a little bit write up something about it, to keep me on point because I have a tendency to go off course when I start talking, and that's because I have a lot of information about addiction from experience and otherwise. A lot of information about recovery, sobriety, and it's all in one, right? It's all in my mind, and sometimes when I'm speaking, I can venture off course. So I just got some PowerPoints here to keep me on point. But first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for supporting me. I respond in the comments. I don't leave nobody hanging. Of course, if you're trying to troll or anything, I'm not gonna really respond to that. But for the most part, everyone's being genuine about their recovery and where they're at in their recovery, which is a blessing to me, and I hope I'm helping you. So let's get it started. Growing in recovery. Recovery is more than simply abstaining from abstinence. It's a lifelong journey towards holistic wellness, personal growth, and self-discovery. So holistic wellness is that's natural growing, anything that's natural to your surroundings, your growing pains per se, personal growth, the things you see when you're sober that you're growing in. We move up at our job, we become better fathers or mothers, we just become better people, and we see that in us as far as personal growth. So, self-discovery, things you didn't know you liked, things I didn't know that I was good at, self-discovery, right? So growing in recovery involves actively pursuing personal development, healing from past experiences, and building a meaningful life free from addiction. So when we're free from addiction, we can build something that we hold dearly to our hearts, something we just couldn't do in our addiction. We had loved ones that loved us. We even have women or men that stuck by our side in our hard times, but unfortunately we just was unhealthy within self, and it showed outside of self, and it showed in our relationships, our family relationships, all relationships in life, so when we're in recovery, we're able to grow in those and expand and just be the best person we can be. So below are some essential strategies and sites for fostering growth during your recovery journey. So I want to talk about understanding recovery growth. Growth in recovery means evolving emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So I do want to say this. Once you straighten out spiritually, mentally, and physically, even emotionally, you're straightened out. Automatically, your life will start to straighten out. But if we can't straighten out spiritually, then we won't be able to straighten out from as far as the other three. I want to mention too, I was walking in Rite Aid the other day, and in the beer and wine section, above it, the sign said spirits, and it tripped me out, because you see that at liquor stores, we never really pay attention to it, but it say beer, wine, and spirits. What do they mean by spirits? Think about it, What are we doing to our spirit when we're indulging in alcohol or other drugs? What is it turning us into? Because including ourselves and people around us. Even if you're watching this and somebody that you love is struggling with addiction, you saw the change spiritually in them. What it did to them, who you knew before and then who it is now. Completely changed, right? But this is a blessing in recovery. We can get back to who we were before. Now, things ain't gonna be the same as it was before because change is inevitable. So with change is the only thing that's going to stay the same. Change is going to happen. But I do want to say that once we get on the side of recovery, we do get better for everyone around us, including ourselves, most importantly. So it requires openness, commitment, and consistency in practicing positive behaviors and coping strategies. As you grow, you'll find it easier to manage challenges, negative relationships, and enjoy a fulfilling, substance-free life. So, one key component to that is self-awareness. What's self-awareness? I know if I go to the bar and I consistently go to the bar, I might take a drink. To some people, that could be common sense. To others, it might not be so common. I don't think common sense is necessarily one shoe fits all type of situation. Common sense is subjective to who has it and what you feel common sense will be. Because for a person know that there's sharks in the ocean, we understand that. So a person wouldn't want to be in the ocean, just swimming and stuff like that. You can get bit in whatever situation. But to a surfer, that's what they do. They surf out, and they understand that risk, but they don't see that as, common sense would be like, you don't do it. It's, that's what they do. So I think common sense it depends on the person. No, but there's blatant things that you would say like that will be common sense. Like, for instance, flushing the toilet after you use it. Most of us should know that's what you do. So, but for some certain things, I don't think necessarily, common sense goes in every aspect and fit. One shoe fits all type of situation. But understanding your emotional response and patterns. So your emotional response, understand that with certain questions, certain attitudes, certain situations get you highly emotional, or you have anger issues. So with anger issues, which is something I suffer from as well, and I think when it comes to us addicts, it's some type of emotion that we suffer from, right? So ultimately, I understand that I have anger issues, so I don't let people take me there. Usually you see it. You might be that person that goes 0 to 100 real fast. Then if that case, you definitely just gotta, it's a case by case as far as watch yourself and the people you're around. Because if you're around people that get you there, you just stay from around them. But myself, my anger builds. So I'm able to catch it. Like certain questions that maybe a loved one would ask that I don't want to talk about or is leading to an argument, I cut it off and I either leave or I take myself out the situation. See, that's just, I understand my pattern, my emotional response to certain things. Anger is dangerous for us because it's a secondary emotion where when we get the efforts, we tend to go do something negative, or we might say something negative. So definitely watch anger, because once you say it out your mouth, you cannot take it back. Like, for instance, my iPhone is blue. Now forget that I said that just now. You can't. So once we say something out of our mouths, and ain't no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, I take that back. You already said it. So we definitely want to be in tune with what we say. Another, healthy coping skills. So coping skills are things that help us get to, or like, for instance, I go to meetings. That's what I do to stay sober. So let's say I'm in a situation where I can't get directly to a meeting at that moment. That's where coping skills come into play. I use that coping skill to just to ground myself so I can get to that meeting later. You know what I'm saying? I don't think coping skills is something that you just constantly use. You don't do nothing else for your sobriety. I just use coping skills all day. No, coping skills is for if you at work and something gets on your nerves or something happens where you feel like using, or maybe you're angry or something else happens where you got to utilize a coping skill. That's what it's for, just to get through that work hour. And then, of course, go to a meeting, call your sponsor, your life coach, your pastor, whoever is in your corner as far as sober support. So we understand we need healthy coping skills too, because one thing I do want to mention, doing drugs was a coping skill. Drinking was a coping skill. It just was an unhealthy coping skill. Because I'm here to tell you, drugs and alcohol is not your problem. It's your solution to the problems in your life. See, I couldn't live life on life terms. And the more I wasn't being the father I needed to be, the more I wasn't being the son I needed to be, the more I wasn't being the man I needed to be. Alcohol helped me deal with that emotion when it came to the things I wasn't completing in life, So understand that it's things that's going on in our lives that we must deal with. It's not necessarily just the alcohol or drug itself, but we do got to separate ourselves from drugs and alcohol so we get a moment of clarity to accept the information that's being given. So once again, family member, somebody struggling with drugs or alcohol, you must catch them in a sober emotion for them to accept what you have going on, So develop constructive ways to manage stress and negative emotions. That's kind of some of the things I just covered. So, building sober support. This is one of the main ones when it comes to just being in the field. How much I've been in the field, just my own addiction, being a counselor, things like I said, just things I've seen. Sober support is important. I ain't gonna say it's the most important, but it's very high up there. You know, you need to have somebody you can lean on. The same way when you didn't have no dope or when you didn't have no alcohol or no money, you would call one of your dope homeboys or homegirls and they had something. That is support in your addiction. The same support we're gonna need in sobriety. Somebody I can call and lean on, especially in the beginning. The first year is very important because in the first year, I don't know how to, at this point, I'm not good at making good decisions for myself. So I'm going to need to bounce my ideas off someone who actually probably walked through this already or is further in their recovery than me, so I can just make the right choice. So goal setting. Set realistic goals. Do not set a goal that is, okay, I'm making $1 million in the next 2 years. You might not do that. And then you setting an expectation on yourself that you might not get, or more than likely you won't. And I ain't saying people, whoever listening to this won't be able to touch $1 million in a couple of years. You might be able to. But I'm just saying, set a realistic goal for yourself. Usually when we come in our addiction, we don't have much. So we're not working, probably don't have no car, probably don't have no spot, living with family, shelter, sober living, whatever. A realistic goal for myself the first year, of course, okay, let me get a car, even if it's used. Let me start working. Let me build sober support. That was my most important goals my first year, and I was able to complete those things. In the second year, let me start going to school now. Because at this point, I have an understanding of what I want to do with my life, and I'm going to start heading in that direction. Just setting realistic goals for yourself. And always celebrate the small victories and in a positive way, because you can't celebrate a year being away from alcohol with a beer. Our mind would tell us to do that. Oh, I've been sober for a year, so I can drink a beer. I think that's go against everything and every reason of staying sober for the year. So definitely celebrate the small victories, but don't do so at the detriment of your recovery. Meaning, okay, I'm about to go to Vegas and celebrate my year of sobriety in a place like Vegas. I don't think that might be the best idea your first year. But do know you will be able to go to places like Vegas or other places that people are drinking and not even worried about it. But you want to solidify yourself for your sobriety and your recovery first. Continue education. That's something I just mentioned. When coming around your second year, going into your second year, yeah, definitely. Go to school, get a trade, whatever you decided you want to do. It might be something you wanted to do before the addiction popped off, and then you can get back into that. So that's always a goal to look forward and something to continue doing. Physical health, big one too. See, I'm gonna let you know. I'm actually trying to drop 20 pounds currently right now, very hard, and I put it on. Because in the beginning of my recovery, this is about 5 years ago. I've been sober 5.5, but about 5 years ago, I was big into the gym. I got my weight up and all type of different things. I got sober right before the pandemic. So when that hit March of 2020, I was about 6 or 7 months sober. And I saw multiple friends of mine going out thinking that the world is heading in the wrong direction as far as it's over with. And, I just came from hell, so the pandemic didn't really do nothing to me as far as it was boring because I was in the house and I was working, but I was really in the house, wasn't much to do. But my reasoning for bringing that up is what I did do, and this could be a sign of slight depression I didn't notice, but I started eating for comfort, and sugar. It was because alcohol, I'm a recovered alcoholic, and alcohol is mainly out of sugar. Our bodies break it down into ETG. So I was eating boxes of Ho-Hos and Twinkies at night, you know what I'm saying? And I'm very healthy, so it wasn't putting it on at first. But I continued with that, right? Ultimately, I did start gaining weight. I got 20 pounds heavier than I would like to be. Currently still 25 pounds heavier than I would like to be. So physical health is very important. Get your proper sleep. Take your vitamins. Get out there and walk. And I ain't saying hit the gym and boom, let's put up 250. Or for my ladies, let's go run. Let's go run 5 miles. Not at all. Walk 1 mile a day. It's perfectly fine. Walk 1 mile 5 times out the week. You know what I'm saying? A good way to do that, my wife always says, a dog. She tells people, get a dog, because a dog will force you to get out and walk it, usually. So you walking your dog, you also walking yourself, and ultimately it's good for the heart, so physical health is important. And embrace the change. Growth and recovery means embracing change and uncertainty. Change can be uncomfortable, but it's crucial for development. Remind yourself that discomfort is temporary and often a sign of meaningful progress. If you're not comfortable with what's going on, and I mean in a positive way, you got a new job, they ask you to do more at your job. Just getting sober itself could be uncomfortable because we haven't lived like that in a very long time. So understand that in recovery, most things that feel uncomfortable is a place of growth, because we haven't did it in so long, so challenges to growth. It's normal to encounter setbacks, doubts, and fears. Recognizing potential obstacles prepares you to handle them constructively. Complacency, stay vigilant, committed, and recovery requires ongoing effort. Do not become complacent in recovery. That's dangerous for us because we get content and we're not really moving forward anymore. And this, I can be 75 years old. I don't care if my goal is getting out there and planting some plants. I'm gonna do so. Put a goal in front of yourself. Don't sit around, because people like us, when we sit around and that idle time, they call it the devil's playground or things of that nature. It's not something you want to do, because it's a big chance we'll lean towards addiction, being complacent. So constantly putting small goals in front of yourself is cool, and I think it's needed, so. Another thing, isolation. Don't do it, because addiction already isolated us. So we start doing that in recovery. We just had the same behaviors in recovery, and that can happen, because I'm here to tell you, alcohol was not the hardest thing to stop. Today, I still have unhealthy behaviors that I'm working on. I haven't took a drink in 5.5 years, but the behaviors stick with us longer. Because maybe you had these behaviors before drugs and alcohol or the addiction itself. So isolation, don't do it. Go be around some folks. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying you always got to be around folks, because some of us are introverts. And, introverts and extroverts, I understand it. But don't just be alone all the time, because that's what our addiction did to us. Or you was around people you really didn't know, which ultimately you was alone. Because I remember the last year of my addiction, I was around people I really truly didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I was isolated from family and loved ones. So unrealistic expectations. Focus on steady progress rather than perfection. Growth is a gradual process. We are not going to be perfect in this thing we call recovery. It's only one thing I do perfect. I don't smoke, I don't drink. I don't use no substance at all. That's the only thing I do perfect. My marriage is not perfect. My kids are not perfect. My job is not perfect. My car is not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So it's that perfect thing, especially if you have that type of mentality to want to do everything perfect, please give yourself a break. You're not going to be able to do so. Just progress is good enough. Slow motion is better than no motion type of situation. And, just my final thought, growing in recovery is an empowering journey of self-improvement and resilience. With dedication, support, and the right tools, you can continually move forward, building a healthier, happier, and more purposeful life in recovery. So with all of that being said, to sum it up, growing in recovery is one of the best things you're going to experience, and we're constantly growing. My sponsor with 37 years, constantly growing. We have conversations, and it feels good for him to be like, I really didn't see it from that, see it like that, Abram. Because he's willing to learn today. Still with 37 years, he's still willing to open his mind up to somebody who might have a little less time than him, or even somebody, because we can quickly see somebody going through something as far as, this person only has 3 months of sobriety. So I have 5.5. I won't even open my mind up to learn anything from that person, and that person possibly can teach me something. So I remain teachable, even though I work in a treatment center. And sometimes them ladies because they wasn't always drug addicts. Some of these ladies come from being professors or having a great life. They just got involved with addiction. And so some things a person can tell you to change your perspective about whatever you got going on. So remain teachable. Always remain teachable. That's what we want. That's what we want as far as recovery and just as far as growth. So with all that being said, any questions you may have, please don't hesitate. Comment below any questions. I'm willing to help. I'm here for it. Recovery, sobriety, addiction, whatever you're struggling with, please let me know at the bottom. Like, comment, share. Like, comment, share, please. Please help my channel grow. I want to help as many people as possible. This is what I'm doing it for. Life is good though. I just want to let you guys know life is good with me. Everything is copacetic. Here recording 10:45 at night. Kind of late. Big day tomorrow, Monday. Kind of got a lot to do, but dang, I probably shouldn't put the dates in there because who knows when this is going to be uploaded. But hey, when you see it, just know that I'm here for you. So once again, next chapter, sobriety. The chapter after that, I don't know what that would be, but it's yet to be told. But until then, I'll see you next time.